the breath ever filled your lungs, before your name was spoken by human lips, before your parents even imagined your face, there were moments already written into existence with your life in mind. There are dates that did not arrive by accident, hours that were not random, seasons that were not coincidental. God marked them. God sealed them. God scheduled them with intention. And those moments are moving toward you even now. You may feel like time's been passing you by, like days are slipping through your fingers without meaning. But hear this carefully. Time has never forgotten you because God never forgot you. Many people live as if life is an open field of chaos, as if tomorrow is a gamble and destiny is a myth. But that belief weakens the soul. When you understand that God stands outside time, that past, present, and future all visible before him at once, your fear begins to lose its grip. God does not react to history. God authors it. Every turning point in your life was seen before your first year ever fell. Some of the delays that frustrated you are not delays at all. They were protections. Some of the closed doors that broke your heart were not rejections. They were redirections. God marked certain dates not just for blessings, but for transformation. And transformation often requires pressure before promotion appears. You wonder why certain struggles repeated themselves, why the same test kept returning in different forms. It is because God does not waste lessons. When something keeps coming back, it is not to destroy you. It is to prepare you. God knows exactly what kind of strength your future requires. And he trains the soul before releasing the assignment. You thought the pain was meaningless, but God was engraving endurance into your spirit. You thought the silence meant abandonment, but God was teaching you to listen beyond noise. The marked dates were not only for celebration, some were for refinement, because what God plans to entrust you cannot be carried by a shallow spirit. There are people who met you at exact moments, not early, not late. Their arrival was timed. Some came to awaken you, others to challenge you, others to leave. Yes, even departures can be divinely marked. God removes certain voices when their influence has reached its limit. Do not mourn every loss as if it were a tragedy. Some exits are evidence of divine protection. God knows who can walk with you into the next season and who must remain behind. You were not meant to carry everyone forward, and not everyone was meant to see what God will do next in your life. You must understand this truth deeply. God does not rush and God does not delay. What feels late to you is never late to him. Time obeys God. Seasons answer to God. When God marks a date, no power can erase it. No failure of yours can cancel it. No enemy can delay it. Even your own doubt cannot destroy it. You may miss moments of opportunity, but God that creates new pathways to fulfill what he has decreed. That is why you are still standing after what should have broken you. That is why hope still whispers in your heart, even when logic says give up. That whisper is not imagination. It is memory. Your soul remembers the promise, even when your mind forgets it. There are days ahead of you that will suddenly make sense of years behind you. On those days, you will look back and realize that nothing was random. The rejection redirected you. The waiting matured you. The hardship humbled you. God was not punishing you. God was positioning you. Every season you survived was shaping your capacity to receive what is coming. If God had released it earlier, it would have crushed you. If God had waited longer, you would have lost heart. So God marked the date precisely, not according to your impatience, but according to your readiness. You have asked why others seem to move ahead while you feel held back. But comparison blinds the soul. God's calendar for your life is not synchronized with anyone else's journey. Some people bloom early and fade quickly. Others grow slowly and endure deeply. God is not impressed by speed. God values depth. What he builds slowly, he boosts to last. What he gives suddenly without foundation often collapses under pressure. So if your progress feels hidden, if your growth feels unseen, it is because roots grow in darkness before fruit appears in light. There are moments God marks that awaken you suddenly. A word spoken at the right time. A realization that shifts your direction. A burden that ignites purpose. You will feel it when it happens because your spirit will recognize it. It will feel heavy and holy at the same time. Those moments are not emotional accidents. They are divine appointments. When they arrive, you must respond. Delay in obedience can prolong unnecessary suffering. God states, but he also invites participation. When the door opens, courage must walk through it. Some of you are living in a season where nothing seems to move. The prayers feel unanswered. The effort feels wasted and hope feels tired. But stillness is not absence. Silence is not inactivity. God works most powerfully in hidden places. Seeds break open underground before anything appears above the surface. If you dig them up too early, you destroy what was about to grow. Trust the process even when you cannot trace the progress. The date is still marked. The promise is still intact. You were not created to merely exist. You were created with assignment embedded in your being. That assignment unfolds across time. Certain doors would only open when you are strong enough to walk through them without losing yourself. God protects you from premature exposure. God is why some dreams feel delayed. God is guarding your identity while shaping your ability. When the marked date arrives, you will not have to force it. It will align naturally. Provision will meet purpose. Strength will meet opportunity. Remember this. God is not bound by your past. Mistakes do not shock him. Failures do not surprise him. He factored them in before you ever made them. Redemption was built into the design. When you fell, God did not panic. He adjusted the path without altering the destination. That is the power of divine sovereignty. What humans call detours, God uses as development. What you thought disqualified you actually qualified you to understand others, to carry compassion, to walk humbly. There are dates that will demand courage from you. Not every marked moment feels comfortable. Some require you to let go of what is familiar. Some require you to stand alone. Some require you to speak when silence feels safer. Fear will always try to speak louder when destiny approaches. That is how you know something significant is near. Fear resists purpose, but God strengthens the willing heart. When you move forward despite trembling, divine strength meets human obedience. You are not forgotten in the waiting. Heaven has not misplaced your file. Every prayer you whispered in weakness was heard. Every tear carried information. God stores the cries of the sincere heart. When the marked date arrives, it often comes suddenly, but suddenly does not mean unprepared. It means preparation was happening where you could not see it. You will realize that God was arranging circumstances, aligning people, shifting environments, and shaping you all at once. Do not shrink your expectation to match your disappointment. Do not let yesterday's pain dictate tomorrow's faith. God is greater than your worst chapter. What he has planned will not only restore what was lost, it will redefine what you thought was possible. There are levels of peace you have not experienced yet. There are depths of purpose you have not yet touched. There are moments ahead that will silence every doubt that ever haunted you. The reason this message stirs something inside you is because it is not new information. It is confirmation. Your spirit knows there is more. Your heart knows the story is not finished. God does not awaken desire without intention to fulfill it. Restlessness is often the signal that you are nearing a shift. Stay alert. Stay faithful. Stay aligned. Time is moving and the marked dates are approaching. Whether you feel ready or not, whether you understand it or not, whether the world believes it or not, because when God marks a moment, creation itself leans toward its fulfillment, and your life is already moving toward what was written before you ever began. When you truly understand that God has written moments into time with your name attached to them, your posture toward life begins to change. You stop begging for what is already assigned, and you start preparing for what is already scheduled. Faith is not desperation. Faith is alignment. Faith stands with confidence, but because it sees the outcome, because it knows the author. God does not create anticipation without fulfillment, and He does not steal our hunger without provision. That quiet sense that something is coming is not illusion. It is preparation echoing through your spirit. There are moments when God allows uncertainty to remain, not to confuse you, but to teach you how to walk without guarantees. Certainty builds comfort, but trust builds power. When you learn to trust God without needing constant reassurance, your spirit becomes unshakable. God is not threatened by your questions, but He is honored by your perseverance. Every time you chose to keep moving forward while answers were delayed, strength was deposited into your inner being. You are becoming someone capable of standing when others collapse. Some of the most important dates God marked are not visible on calendars. They are internal shifts. The day you stopped blaming and started taking responsibility, the moment you realized your pain did not define you, the instant you chose forgiveness over bitterness. These moments may not look dramatic to the world, but they change the trajectory of a life. God often transforms the inner world before altering the outer one. When the heart is ready, circumstances begin to respond. You must understand that resistance increases right before release. Pressure intensifies when something valuable is about to emerge. God does not allow pressure without purpose. Just as valuable materials are refined under extreme conditions, so is the soul. The weight you have been carrying is not proof of weakness. It is evidence of calling. Lesser assignments require less endurance. Greater purpose demands greater refinement. God trusts you with pressure because He trusts what He placed within you. There are voices that try to define you by your lowest moments, but God speaks from a higher vantage point. People see fragments. God sees the full design. You may have been misunderstood, underestimated, or dismissed, but none of that altered what God established. Human opinion cannot rewrite divine intention. The same God who marked your beginning also marked your becoming. When the appointed time arrives, explanation will not be necessary. Clarity will speak for itself. There are seasons when obedience feels costly. You will be tempted to compromise, to take shortcuts, to abandon integrity for speed. But God rewards alignment, not haste. What is gained without God will require constant effort to maintain, and is given by God is sustained by His presence. Choose faithfulness even when it feels unseen. Haven records what the world ignores. Nothing done in sincerity is ever wasted. You were never meant to walk this journey fueled by fear. Fear distorts perception and shortens vision. God did not design you to live confined by anxiety over what might happen. The future belongs to God, and you are held within it. When fear rises, it is often because you are standing at the edge of growth. Do not retreat when discomfort appears. Expansion always challenges the familiar. Trust that God does not lead where he does not also protect. Some of the dates God marked will require you to rise into responsibility you once prayed for, but now feel unprepared to carry. Growth answers prayer, but growth also demands discipline. God elevates those who are willing to be shaped. Humility keeps you teachable. Gratitude keeps you grounded. Awareness keeps you aligned. Stay aware of the small adjustments God prompts you to make daily. Big shifts are the result of small obediences practiced consistently. There will be moments when the path ahead seems unclear. But clarity often comes after movement, not before it. God honors motion rooted in trust. When you take a step in faith, the next step is revealed. Waiting does not always mean standing still. Sometimes it means moving without full understanding. God guides the willing heart. You do not need to see the entire road. You only need to trust the one who laid it. Remember that your life is not defined by a single chapter. Painful seasons end. Confusing seasons pass. Even joyful seasons evolve. God is constant through them all. When you anchor your identity in God rather than in circumstances, you remain stable through change. Stability is not the absence of struggle. It is the presence of trust. That trust will carry you through moments that once seemed unbearable. There are dates ahead that will unlock doors you thought were permanently closed. Restoration does not always look like returning to what was. Sometimes it looks like being introduced to something far greater. God is not limited by what you lost. He creates anew. He rebuilds with wisdom gained. What emerges from loss often carries deeper meaning than what existed before it. Trust God's ability to bring beauty from ashes without repeating the pain that caused them. The call upon your life is not about public recognition. It is about eternal impact. Influence is not measured by visibility, but by transformation. God uses ordinary lives fully to accomplish extraordinary outcomes. You do not need to be perfect. You need to be available. Willingness opens doors. Talent alone cannot. When you say yes to God, he supplies what you lack. Stay attentive to the inner prompting that draws you toward purpose. Distraction is one of the greatest thieves of destiny. Not everything that demands your attention deserves your energy. Guard your focus. Protect your peace. Align your priorities. God speaks most clearly to those who create space to listen. Stillness sharpens discernment. In quiet moments, direction becomes clear. You are closer than you think. The waiting has not been endless. It has been intentional. The growth has not been invisible. It has been internal. God has been faithful every step of the way. Even when you cannot see his hand, trust the timing you cannot control. Honor the process you do not fully understand. The dates God marked are approaching. When they arrive, they will not ask from doubt, fear, or past FA unfold with authority. Because what God decrees stands firm, and what he begins, he brings into fullness. There is a hidden strength God places inside those who wait without becoming bitter. Waiting has a way of exposing what lies beneath the surface. It reveals whether faith is rooted in trust or in outcomes. God is not impressed by loud declarations that collapse under delay. He honors quiet endurance that refuses to let go. When you remained faithful in obscurity, when no applause followed your obedience, something powerful was happening. Your spirit was trained to draw confidence from God alone, not from validation. That kind of strength cannot be manufactured. It is forged over time. God often withholds details because information can become a crutch. If you knew everything in advance, you would rely on knowledge instead of trust. God desires relationship, not control. When he speaks in fragments, it is an invitation to stay close. Each step of obedience releases the next measure of understanding. This is how God keeps the heart engaged. Distance grows where certainty replaces dependence. So if you have felt like clarity comes slowly, it is not punish. It is intimacy in progress. Some of the most powerful shifts God brings do not announce themselves with noise. They begin as quiet realignments. A thought changes. A desire loses its grip. A burden lifts without explanation. These are not coincidences. They are signs that something unseen is moving. God often works beneath awareness before he works within circumstances. When the internal world shifts, the external world eventually follows. Never underestimate what God is doing simply because it is subtle. You may feel surrounded by limitations, resources that seem insufficient, opportunities that appear scarce, strength that feels depleted. But God is not restricted by what you see. He specializes in working beyond visible capacity. When human ability reaches its edge, divine provision begins to operate. God does not ask you to supply what you do not have. He asks you to trust what he can provide. Your responsibility is obedience. Provision belongs to God. There are moments when God will intentionally disrupt your comfort to awaken your courage. Comfort those awareness, but challenge sharpens it. When life shakes what you depended on, it is often because God is redirecting. Why? Our trust. Temporary instability can lead to permanent alignment. Do not resist the shaking. God never removes something without purpose. What falls away creates space for what must take its place. God is deeply aware of every injustice you endured in silence. Nothing escaped his attention. Vindication does not always come immediately, but it always comes with precision. God does not rush justice, but he never forgets it. When the time is right, truth rises without effort. You will not need to defend yourself forever. God knows how to reveal what was hidden and restore what was misrepresented. Trust this timing over your impulse to react. There are assignments connected to your life that require maturity more than talent. Skill may open a door, but character keeps it open. God values the condition of the heart above the appearance of success. That is why he takes time shaping motives, refining intentions, and purifying desires. The deeper the responsibility, the deeper the preparation. God is not delaying your purpose. He is preserving it. At times, God will ask you to release something you love, not because it is evil, but because it has become central. Anything that replaces true Austin in God becomes an obstacle, even if it once was a blessing. Letting go does not mean losing. It means realigning. God never asks for surrender without intention to restore in a greater form. What you place in his hands never diminishes. It transforms. You must recognize that endurance is a spiritual language. Every day you rose despite heaviness. You were speaking faith without words. Every time you chose integrity when compromise seemed easier. You were strengthening your future. God listens to actions as much as prayers. Faith expressed through consistency carries great weight. Heaven responds to steadfast hearts. There are encounters ahead that will confirm everything you hoped for in secret. Conversations that arrive at the exact moment you needed them. Opportunities that appear without manipulation. Peace that settles without explanation. These are signs that the alignment is complete. When God moves, effort gives way to flow. What once felt forced begins to happen naturally. This is the mark of divine timing. Do not underestimate the power of remaining teachable. Pride resists correction, but humility attracts wisdom. God instructs those who remain open. Growth is sustained by learning. Even when you advance, stay grounded. Even when you succeed, remain grateful. Gratitude protects the heart from arrogance and keeps perspective clear. God entrusts more to those who remember where their strength comes from. There will be moments when obedience costs you relationships, comfort, or familiarity. Loss can accompany growth, but loss is not the final word. God fills what he empties. When something leaves your life, it creates capacity for what must enter. Trust that removal is not rejection. God does not strip away without purpose. What remains after pruning grows stronger. The journey ahead will not always feel easy, but it will feel meaningful. Purpose carries weight, but it also carries fulfillment. When you walk in alignment with God, even challenges carry peace. That peace does not come from the absence of struggle. It comes from knowing you are where you are meant to be. Direction brings rest even in motion. God is not finished speaking into your life. There are still instructions to receive, adjustments to make, and revelations to uncover. Stay sensitive. Stay attentive. Stay responsive. The marked moments continue to unfold not as distant promises, but as living reality is drawing closer with every step you take in trust. Stand where you are and feel the weight of this truth settle into your spirit. Your life is not drifting. It is directed. You are not late. You are not forgotten, and you are not misplaced. God has been present in every moment you survived and every moment you did not understand. The same God who marked the days of your becoming is still guiding your steps. Now let this awareness awaken reverence within you. Let it silence the voice that says your life is small or insignificant. You are standing inside a divine design, and your awareness of it changes everything. Now is the moment to look inward with honesty and courage. Ask yourself, what has dulled your sensitivity? What has distracted your devotion? What has weakened your focus? Not with shame, but with humility. God does not expose to condemn. He reveals to restore. Let go of habits that no longer align with who you are becoming. Release bitterness that poisons your peace. Lay down fear that has limited your obedience. Renewal begins when surrender replaces resistance. Choose today to walk with intention. Do not merely exist within time. Honor it. Live as someone entrusted with purpose. Speak with integrity. Act with compassion. Move with faith even when clarity is incomplete. Let your daily choices reflect your trust in God's wisdom rather than your reliance on comfort. When your actions align with your belief, your life becomes a testimony without words. Draw closer to God, not out of obligation, but out of desire. Let reverence shape your decisions. Let gratitude steady your heart. Let trust anchor your soul. In stillness, listen. In obedience, move. In uncertainty, remain faithful. God responds to sincerity, and a sincere heart is never ignored. Carry this truth with you. What God has marked cannot be undone, but what he has marked requires your participation. Walk forward with courage. Stand firm with humility. Lie fully awake to the sacred weight of your days. And as you go, let your life reflect the quiet confidence of someone who knows they are held by God, guided by God, and move steadily what was written long before the world ever knew your